Hello and welcome back to another video. So if you watched the first video, then you know that today is the day that we talk about the first food preservation method that I'll be trying, which is drying/dehydrating. But before we get on to today's video, please hit the subscribe button and like this video for more great content. So now, if you were to ask me, what's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of drying food? Then what I would say is putting food or dried food like nuts or something under the sun. Well, the type of way I'm drying food is correct, but there's more to that. Because see, food drying is one of the oldest methods of preserving delicious food for using it later, as this method removes the moisture from the food. Now that makes food from spoiling, as it removes the moisture from the food to prevent bacteria, yeast and molds so that it doesn't grow on the food. And this also allows to slow down the action of enzymes. There are many foods that you can food preserve through drying that saves both time and money. Drying food is pretty simple and easy to learn and perform. And now with modern day technology such as dehydrators and ovens, foods can be easily dehydrated at home. And dried foods are very useful and ideal for activities like hikes and day trips. So now, what are the benefits of drying food at home? Dehydrating food can save you money, as well as you'll be doing this at your own kitchen. This means that you can speed up the cooking time, as you know how to alter the rate of the process, and there's only one product that needs to be dehydrated, and that's yours, so it would save time. It's also easier and much more effective to store it at home, because you can check on the progress on your own without altering its supposed conditions. And this is just basically how you dehydrate foods. So now, as you know, that I'm also going to be trying to use these food preservation methods to define the characteristics, its reliability, and other terms like taste and whatnot. So to perform this, I'm going to be drying apples. So my goal is to make apple chips out of plain simple apples using the food preservation method, drying/dehydrating. So the materials that I'll be using are 2 apples, lemon juice, pineapple juice, and water. And I'll also be using materials like peeler/slicer to cut the apples to thin pieces, an oven because I'm going to be dehydrating the apples in an oven, and a sheet of aluminum/baking foil. So after going through a lot of boring websites that gave me different estimate times for how long the entire process will take, I found an estimate of 10 to 20 hours. Now that sounds like a lot of time, and I agree as well. So my goal is to follow the process to shortlist the time to a maximum of 5 hours, because I feel like this will make it more reliable while I follow the steps of the process safely without contaminating the food and making it edible and delicious. So first I will be preheating the oven at a low 145 degrees Fahrenheit, and then after that I will put the food there after finishing the steps before that. So I'll dry the food safely by keeping in mind to make sure that there's low humidity while trying to allow moisture to move from the food to the air to avoid any bacteria. And I will wash my apples and hands and materials before starting, just so I can get them sterilized. Then I will frequently check on the progress of the process to avoid anything going wrong and to be more cautious and safe. So let's get started. So first, this is me sterilizing all the materials. I've washed my apples, I got my bowls, I got the juices, just getting everything ready, filling a glass of water, sterilizing the slicer or peeler that I'll be using, and then I'm sterilizing my knife. Obviously before all this, I washed my hands properly and thoroughly. So now I got all my materials ready and I can start. So I'm preheating the oven, and this is at the temperature required. Now these are the materials that I'm going to be using for the process, and as the video goes on, I'll be explaining why I'm using them. So first I'm pouring in my juices. I'm pouring a little bit of pineapple juice, and now I'm going to be pouring a little bit of lemon juice. A few drops, not too much, just putting a few drops. And now I'm going to be pouring a little bit of water. So the main reason why I'm pouring in lemon juice, pineapple juice, and water is so that when I am dehydrating my apples in the oven, I don't want them to brown. I mean, there will be discoloration, but I don't want it to brown when it's dehydrating. So the purpose of this is to dip in the apple slices before putting it in the oven to prevent browning. So now that my oven is finally preheated, I can take the tray out, and this is where I'm going to be putting the baking foil. So now that I got my tray out, I can put the baking foil onto it to prepare for the next steps. So now, this is an important step as well, as I'm going to be taking objects that are knives and place it on the sides of the baking paper to avoid it from flying, because the apples are going to be very thin and delicate. So to make sure that there's something that weighs it down. Now we move on to the main step, which is slicing and thinning the apples. So after I slice the two apples into thin, crispy layers, I'm gently placing them along the baking sheet, avoiding touching them while they're drying so nothing happens and it doesn't break. So now, as you can see, both the apples have been sliced evenly, and now I'm going to be taking the tray, obviously with my glove on for safety precautions, and I'm going to be putting it inside the oven for dehydrating it and checking up later. This is the first hour that I'm checking up on it, and there's slight discoloration, but you can see that the process is happening. So now this is the second hour, and this is me checking up on it. So now, as we can see that there is clear discoloration of the apples slices, and it's clearly dehydrating, so we're going to check up on it in another hour. So now this is the third hour, and my way of making it more reliable is very effective. It's working very well, and I'm actually increasing the time by another hour. Let's check up in another hour. So now this is the fourth and final hour, where I'm going to be delicately taking out the crisps and putting it into a Ziploc bag so they don't break, so I can store it, and the next day I can ask someone to test it out for a non-biased review. And this is it. This is dehydration. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. To recap, we learned about one of the food preservation methods that is very old but can be used with new and modern techniques known as drying/dehydrating, where you can preserve delicious food for storage, removing the moisture from the food to keep away bacteria and yeast. This preservation method is very simple to do and very useful and effective to produce. And you also saw a live tutorial on how to do it, the steps you need, and the food you can use. And now, to end this video, you can watch a non-biased review from one of my peers testing out the delicious chips I've made.
Hello? Yum!
So, as you can see from the clear glimpse of sparkles in his eyes, you can tell that he really enjoyed the apple crisps that I made. And you can too if you follow the same recipe that is effective and reliable. Now, thank you for watching this video, and if you want to see more food preservation methods like this, please stay tuned.